When I say I turn that thing off and on right quick, we not gonna lose this one. Not gonna lose it.
See, really, I don't give a damn what you
Haven't seen Dr. Wicked in a minute.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. If you're a badass, you understand what I'm saying? Well, you better. I was born in these streets, raised in these streets, walked in these streets, talked by these streets, lived in these streets, hustled in
Oh, V, she was not from Winona. She's from Mississippi, but she was not from Winona. Let's be clear.
yeah, you know I walk through the valley of these streets. I shall not fear these streets, cause I run these streets. And I pay my
We're back, baby. Let's see what happens if we don't add a moderator.
Okay. I hope that wasn't it. That shouldn't be a problem.
Cassie with her 7 dogs in the building, baby. Go, Cassie.
You know, I look back at the clip that I put. There's a couple clips that you're on, and one of them, Blue was tripping. Blue put her whole ass on your shoulder.
She sits up here.
Yeah, okay, Blue being real disrespectful tonight. I didn't even know it.
She thinks she's a parrot.
I love it. I love it.
Cassie, I appreciate you popping on. I know you don't. You're here for a good time, not a long time, or is that another subject? Never mind. Cassie, what do you think about women saying that they can turn on their femininity as they please, and men should accept them for how they treat people in general?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
When you say turn on your feminine, because I wasn't here for the conversation, I just got into the house. When you say turn it on, what do you mean? Do you mean like I need more? Like I don't understand. What do you mean? Like they look girly one day and another day they look like a dude? Like what's the context?
So it's more about how you treat people and how you associate with people. So I'm more talking about, let's just say I was giving an example, a woman who is in her mid-30s. She has a master's and or more. She's in leadership at whatever her job is, middle management. Huh?
You're coming in and out.
Oh. Okay. How about now?
Maybe everyone should mute when you're talking. So.
Okay. How about now? Okay. So I was talking about a female who's in her mid-30s. She has an MBA or organizational leadership masters. She has 40 to 50 people that she leads, and she's been in leadership. And so, okay, that's great. She makes over 6 figures, or more than 100,000 in the South. So it's different than 100,000 on the West Coast, 100,000 in New York. I think the equivalent would be like 175 to dollars or something like that. So anyway, she does that. Now when she gets in a relationship, she wants to lead the relationship. She wants to be in charge. She does not want to submit to a man because of because of her education and her leadership at work. And if you ask her, she'll tell you that I turn it on and off. But she's always wanting to be in charge. She always wants to be the person who gets the final say so and lead the relationship. That's my example.
So in that example, she wants to be the dude in the relationship. So how's she turning it on and off if she's the one who's leading? Because if I understand it, a man is supposed to lead and we're supposed to follow. So if she wants to be the leader in that relationship, then she needs to find a man who's willing to be the one who's going to submit to her leadership. I
But
don't know.
is that still a man?
I think you're operating in your masculinity when you want to lead. Because if the man is supposed to be the leader, if I'm wanting to lead, then I'm up, because we all have a masculine and a feminine side. Yes, we do. It may not be very
You're looking for the word prominent. Is the word you're looking for.
Give an example of women having both. You said every woman has a masculine and a feminine side?
yeah.
Okay.
Just
Okay,
like for me. So
give
like
an
for me.
example.
So I've had to be the leader, the protector, and the provider in my house. I've never had a man lead me. So I've had to operate in my masculinity because I've always had to be the leader over my family.
So one thing I'd like to say is you weren't a part of the last live before he had to reset, is that I want to think about renewing our minds with basic concepts. In reality, leadership is not a masculine quality. Leadership should be applied to the individual in that particular situation that is best prepared to do that specific task. So, for instance, leading a household, if you created the household and you lead the household, that doesn't make you masculine. You could still be a leader of a household and be feminine. If we look back in history, there were queens that led armies and were in charge of nations. So I think that that's just a little bit of a misnomer that leadership has to be an attribute that's only for men.
I thought you were gonna say something.
I was going to say something, but I had to think about it. I don't want to operate out of emotion. So not meaning that women can't lead. Are we talking about in a relationship? Is this just towards relationship, or is this just in general?
Okay, in general, but okay, listen. I'm saying because of her work life, she has multiple degrees. She makes lots of money. She's in leadership at work. Now she wants that to roll to her personal life. Now she wants to lead her home. She wants to find, because you said something that's very important. She would need to find a man who will submit to her. But is that really a man?
Why wouldn't it be?
You're saying that you want a man that will
No,
submit.
I'm not saying I would want no man that way. I'm saying, but why wouldn't it be?
I know she didn't know that. I know. I'm just
Why wouldn't he be a man if he just wants to be, like, for instance, there are couples where the woman goes out and she works and the man stays home and takes care of the family. So is he not a man because he decides to stay home and take care of the kids and she go out and work?
he has opinions, yes, but is he a man? No.
See, but we also talked about in the last live session, Cassie, that we are here on the West Coast, and Blue and the other young lady come from Southern backgrounds, and the characteristics on what it means to be a man, and I think the opinions and thoughts and attitude about that may be slightly different because of the climate and the structure of the communities. Because I was discussing with him the fact that I would love to be in a traditional household in which I was the breadwinner of the family. I made enough for me, my wife, all of our children, all of the bills, all of the insurance, all of the cars, all of the gas, all of the food, all of the educational costs, the uniforms, everything. And I told him that based on our cost of living structure being so much higher than it is in the South and other areas, that it's not feasible for just that one person to go to work, but then still live the high standard of living in most households here as it is there. So that was just a little bit of my input on that subject. So
I agree.
Okay, so for the lady, you said it's an option for a man not to leave the household. He can just be a participant in the household. He can stay at home. He can rear the kids, clean the house, blah, blah, blah. Is this the man that a lot of women want?
It depends on the woman. I can't speak for all women. I can only speak for me. And that's not the kind of man I want. But it just
you're no
depends on the
Key,
woman.
you're no Kiki Palmer.
Mm-mm. No.
You know, this is the discussion that what Blue brought up. I think this is what happened with Kiki Palmer and her man. I think Kiki was out and working in Hollywood, doing her actress thing or whatever she does, and she was out at one of the events and had on something scantily clad. And I think the guy was at home. He's a stay-home dad that takes care of the children. Tweeted out something like, you know, you're a whole mom out here, you know, why would you dress like that? And then it was a whole backlash about it. But, you know, that's a good question. I'm not sure, you know. I think that you have women that, I think you have women nowadays when they get to a certain age, they just want to be happy. And whatever shape and form that relationships comes in that will allow them to have happiness, the ones that create their own thought processes, they'll negotiate within that relationship as they come. I think that sometimes people end up lonely when their mind state doesn't evolve and is too stuck in one place and doesn't have any willingness to negotiate at all, or not negotiate, willingness to compromise
Compromise.
at all. Now, if I lived in the South, I wouldn't want to be in the South and be a stay-at-home dad, and I'm the person taking care of the kids. Boy, you better get your bald head ass in there and fix my dinner and the dinner for the goddamn kids. Or I'm gonna black your eye. I couldn't see that. But here, I might have a woman that has a master's degree from Stanford University, and she gets a job as the executive director in Silicon Valley and is making $160,000 a year. And then we have a child. If I'm only making, just say this is all hypothetical. If my wife gets a promotion and she's making $160,000 a year, and I was only making $92,000 a year. And then it was a toss between, like, say, our family is from the city where Blue is, and then St. Louis. So we don't really trust our kids with people, just anybody. But my wife has the ability that she makes enough money to support the whole household. They know I'm intelligent. I graduated from UC Berkeley. We decide together, listen, honey, for the first 2 to 3 years, they're integral in right now instilling in our children what they need mentally and their characteristics to shape them through their whole life. Let's have you be the stay-at-home person. I'm going to bring in the money. You take care of the shopping. You take care of the watching and maintaining and discipline the children. I'm going to be in the workforce, and you make sure that the household is sturdy, the whole foundation. In that way, I'm just going to bring in the money. See, I could see that here on the West Coast. You know what I mean? Because that wouldn't make me feel like any less than a man, because I know that it's also giving me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something that's rare. Still have a successful household and not be dysfunctional, because I have time to raise my kids in the way that I think they should think, as opposed to being raised by the telephone, being raised by the internet, being raised by whoever the babysitter might have been, or the latchkey process, whoever the people are playing with their phone, supposed to be supervising a kid after school, and they not paying no attention. So that's just my thoughts.
So can I I want to make sure I can say something. Can I say something? You said something about Kiki Palmer and her situation. Maybe they didn't have that conversation. Maybe they didn't set the boundaries clear enough. You know, they didn't map out what they will or will not do, and so it just blew up in their face. So I mean, we got to set boundaries.
Yes, you do, but at the same time, certain things you would, as a man, you would aspire that your woman wouldn't put you in that situation. You would aspire.
You would aspire, but if she was already doing that before she left, before she met you, like if this was already something she was doing, you can't change who she already is. It's in her DNA. It's her character. Now you can have the conversation to be like, you know, this is not something that I would like, or, you know, and then as to honor her man, she should, you know, follow through. But if this was something she was already doing before, like if I was already doing this before you met me, you think you just gonna come in and change me?
I'm not going to disagree with that. If a woman, if she was doing thought behavior respectfully, then he should expect her to continue doing thought. So, and I thought he was trying to express that the best way he could by saying, "You're a mom out here, not only a mom, but a mother to my child. And I am now offended by the action that you've taken." Now, he should have had that conversation privately, not on Twitter, not on any version of social media. And then they wouldn't have had this back and forth where now we're all in their business. But if her behavior was offensive to a man that cares about his woman, but she used that opportunity to break up with him, and they're no longer together. So it is what it is. I want to skip to I want to go through this pin comment because I need to answer that. Then we can go back to the topic. Integrity Firearms 49 said, "Does single mother household equals failure?" Just a question. Unfortunately, sir, I do not on my program like offensive and derogatory questions, but I am going to most definitely answer it for you. No, because just because the mother and the children are the only ones in the household does not necessarily mean that there's no mentorship, uncles, cousins, men that are around the household that help lead these boys, because that's what we need to be most concerned about. Because if it's a single mother with two daughters, okay, the daughters are getting what they need. It's about the little black boys who don't have men around that show them how they should walk, talk, act like, respect. That's what we need to be most concerned about. And just because the man is not in the household doesn't mean they're not getting what they need. And I'm firm on that. So there you go. Anybody else want to comment on it?
I'm gonna
I
drop the
think
mic
that
on that one.
I think does the single mother household equal failure?
Mm-mm.
I think what's also very important for us today is to identify failure by first identifying our own idea of what success looks like. I believe that we've adopted a follower mentality, and things that are fed to us through television and other media sources, social media, we've evolved into taking on the attributes or thoughts of others of what our personal success looks like. And first of all, that's not healthy for our mental state, for our self-esteem, or for the self-esteem of the children of our personal households or the community at large. Because all these big fancy cars or the jewelry or the designer clothing, a lot of those things are being pushed because that's what's bringing in money. But there has to be someone to say, you know what? Those things may be nice, and I'm not angry if you like those things, but I want you to know, as my child or as my nephew or as my niece, that that's not what makes you a good or bad person. Those are just things. Character, integrity, what you do for other people, how you move forward, the culture in your own community are all things that make you a good person. And if I think if we focus more on those things as opposed to ideology from outside sources, our communities would be in a better position today.
Trish, what you doing? You up here being quiet as a church mouse.
Because I was listening.
Oh, how do you feel about single mother households and the success of the children?
I agree with what you said about just because children are raised with a mother in the home, it doesn't mean that they don't have positive male influences around them. I've seen so many more Black teachers now than I've ever seen grow up. So some of my kids' friends, they don't have a parent or a father in the home. But when I hear them talking to my kids, they're like, did you talk to such teacher such and such today? And I'm like, that's really, really dope, because I feel like more Black men specifically are stepping up to help our Black boys because there is such a target on them. So no, a single mother household does not equal failure, as long as she allows men around her children to help rear them properly.
Agreed.
As the single mother that is on the panel who has raised 4 children and 3 nieces and nephews, what I don't know what you consider failure, but none of my kids is on the street dealing. They all have college degrees. No one's locked up. So to me, that's a success. So it depends on what you consider failure in your life, but I don't believe that just because you're raised by a single parent household that that it's failure, because there are times when you have a 2-parent household and the kids is jacked up. So it all depends on who is the one who is training you up to be the person you are today.
My parents did everything they could. They gave me a good foundation through education. They've been together over 50 years, and they provided a very stable environment for me and foundation. But because I grew up in East Oakland and rap music and gangster rap and sensationalism of violence and greed and lust through the flesh of the lust of life and women and lascivious activities was prevalent in the society, I adapted to those ways, and I found myself on the wrong side of the tracks many a times. You know, it's not often that you meet somebody that graduated from one of the top 5 universities in the country that also has been shot and been in gun violence situations and all types of things. I don't want to get into particular, and incriminate myself, but, I think that they're right. Everyone's right. It's on a one-by-one basis. I don't think that we can say every household does this or every household has this type of outcome. I would want a balance if possible, and I would like for a child to have access to both their mother and their father equally as much as possible, so that whether boy or a girl, they can see what it's like to have a positive role model in the community and what that looks like firsthand as their parent, as opposed to looking up to having an absent mother or father. So now they're looking for outside sources that may not be positive, just like the dope man or the gangster rapper or whatever in my era was the people we looked up to, no matter how prevalent our own parent was in society. So I would want for the children to have the best role model within the household if possible. But I also agree that if there's an absence of them, I would hope that they have replacements of actual human beings that they can comment, that they can connect with, see, and touch, that are positive representations. Not just another man, a positive man. If they don't have a father, sending them to their uncle that's out here scamming, that's not going to help the situation, So that's just my thoughts. And Big Blue, I gotta go. They need my Harley. I promised one of my little homies. He's doing a music video. They need some of my props and stuff like that for the music video. So I'm gonna go hook him up, man. But you my brother Blue from another mother, Cassie. Appreciate you coming on. And the person behind the curtain number 3 is Coach Latricia Nee. Salute to all y'all, man. God bless. And don't forget, When you're dealing with these kids, there's a clear definition of how you know whether they're bad or not bad and whether or not you've done your job. So when you have these kids going out, smashing and grabbing, running in the stores, grabbing big bundles of clothes and running out, it's just not about whether or not those are one of your particular kids. It's about whether or not when they smash and grab, they know how to get your correct size.
I was not expecting. I gotta be on my P's and Q's better with him because sometimes he just gonna, he gonna drop something and run out. Okay, let's get back on top. I was not trying. I see that I pinned that comment and they've been talking about that ever since. They just he didn't get under everybody's skin with that comment.
I just think too, Blue, that like Dino said, the environment that he grew up, the environment that I grew up, I came from a single parent household. And so there was some things that I did, trouble that I got in, this, that, and the third. So when I was training up my children, I made sure that just because their fathers weren't in the house, there was my grandpa, there was their grandpa, there was other aunt, uncles, you know what I'm saying? So it just depends on the person. And just because you can have kids don't make you a parent.
Ooh,
Mhm.
that ain't nice at all. Okay, so what? Everybody has a different appearance. Okay, so people have a problem when I say this. You have to have a standard of what is successful. You have to have a standard of what is bad or good to determine what is bad or good. You can't say, because some people will say, I'm successful. Okay, well, tell me about your life. I made it out the ghetto, or I made it out the hood. Okay, what else did you do? Did you acquire a degree? Do you have a good job? Do you lead anybody? How's your family skills? Oh, that's all I did. Okay, I understand that some people's level of success is different than others, but there should be a overall standard for so that all can judge and say, okay, I agree with that. Like, what's a good movie? What's a lot of money? What's tall? What's short? There should be standards for everything that we all can agree on, as well as the saying, hey, I had a reasonable childhood, and I am moderately successful as an adult, at least some kind of successful. And yes, I understand it's subjective, but we still, because like I said, if I say that I come from a two-parent household and I went to college, I have a degree, and I've been in management most of my life. Somebody else might say, okay, you're not successful because you don't own a company. I get I get it's subjective, but we still have to have a standard.
But what makes your standard better than my standard? Because it all goes back to how you were trained up. So if my standard of success is okay, so I didn't train my kids, they didn't grow up in the projects like I did. Boom, that's a success. They went to college. Boom, that's a success. So it all depends on each person's success is different. So what makes your standard better than the next person's standard is what I'm trying to say.
I understand. And I'm not saying that, I'm saying we should have a universal standard that all can agree to, just like the value of a dollar. Just like what shirt size is XL, what shirt size is medium, what shirt size is small, or what is a size shoe 9? What is that? This fits that, so that we can all be on the same page. Because yes, I get what you're saying, making it out, or hell, eating. Some people is I had 3 meals a day. I was successful. I get that, but if that's your I can't change it. We need to have a universal standard so that everybody can be on the same page.
I don't think that you can really have a universal standard of success because everybody's mindset is different. Like, I know someone who is a big time dope boy, and for him, a success is he's not in prison. Whereas for somebody else, their success is, okay, I made it out the hood. I'm on Section 8, but I still made it out the hood. So there is not really a way to be like, okay, this is successful. It all depends on what you grew up with, what you believe, what's important to you. So I don't think it's possible to have a standard for everybody.
Like for me, success right now is none of my kids are teenage mothers. I was a teenage mother. So all my kids got out of their teens and it's in their 20s and ain't nobody had no babies. Boom, that's a success. So I'm not sure who was speaking. I'm sorry. I thought her lips was moving, but like the young lady just said, each person's success is different.
Victorious.
Hello.
So,
I have to agree with them. I had a conversation with a young lady that we just hired, and today she was telling me things that blew my mind. She's from Michigan, and she came to Atlanta. She had sickle cell, and she researched and found Grady, which has a great, they're the best trauma center, and she needed that. But she told me how her life was in Michigan, and the story she told me about the women out there just having babies just to get government assistance. There's no drive. There's no, nothing for them out there is boring. All they do is have sex, do drugs. And she's not from like Flint. She's 20 minutes from Flint, but she told me stories about some of the people in her circle that she saw literally doing the most heinous things just to get by. And she moved to Atlanta, and she feels like she's in a better place in life. And for her, that's a success because she got away from that. So just like they're saying, success is different for everyone because everyone don't have the same backgrounds, experiences. You can only base it off of what you are centered around. And the thing she said, this lady had 4 children. She was married. She set her house on fire, stood outside and watched her kids burn. The husband went in to save the kids and ended up burning with them. Then she turned around and started a whole nother family with another man and had 2 more kids. And I say, well, what was her purpose? She basically told people she couldn't do it anymore, but she turned around and went to another man. And I thought this was a fake story, but this was her reality. Women having children. Another thing she said, they're having children, but they're having what is it called when you have the baby early? Pre-labor,
Premature
labor. And they're doing it purposely. They're taking drugs. They're doing whatever because apparently they get $2,000 for the first 2 years for a child being pre-labor,
premature. I was a preemie when I
premature.
was born. Yeah, premature.
And they're getting this 2,000. They have a baby, and then they do it again, get 2,000 more for this one. And she said the minimum is four children for any woman that she's seen in her life. Or they're having babies at 14 and young, and just, it's like when she was telling me this, I'm thinking in my mind, like I was getting angry. I had to check my mind and myself just listening to her speak. Because in my mind, I did not grow up like that, nor have I heard anything like this. But I'm like, what the, like, what in the world? Like, are you serious? You making this up? She's like, no, that's why I had to get away.
Well, okay, let me go back to what I was saying. I understand that nobody really agree. Everybody comes from a different point. Nobody starts at zero. Everybody starts where they started. And then the finish line, your dash is your life, which is different from her life and her life and her life and my life. And your finish line is not necessarily somebody else's finish line. Some people may get to 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever. So your journey on earth will determine what your successes are. But what I'm saying is similar to, because I look at things in very structured ways when it comes to either being militant or military or sports, where you can easily say Michael Jordan, for example, and he's the greatest of all time because these stats, and we compare these stats apples to somebody else. So what I'm saying is, if us as a black community, we say, all right, well, Blue, you started you came from a two-parent household and you're from Mississippi. And then based on where you come from and the journey that you took, you never been to jail, never killed, never don't do drugs, blah, blah, blah. Here's where you're judged based on the people that are similar to you. And the people that, Cassie, you had a baby as a teen, then based on where you are now and how you were, how you lived your life, the choices that you made after this decision, then this will determine if you are successful. Because there's some people who are given way more. There's some people that come from lower middle class, they let's just say one of the Cosby kids, in real life, and then they don't even get a degree. That will be failure to me. They don't get a degree. They don't do nothing productive. They don't help nobody. They don't give back. All they do is mooch off their parents and be a drug addict for their life. And I'm not saying that this is a real person. I'm saying we should be able to determine these things, because I don't like it when everybody says I'm successful, and then you ask them what they went through, and you're like, I don't want to talk bad about you, but I don't agree with you. I'm sorry, Cassie, go ahead.
I was just waiting. So you equate success with getting a degree?
No.
Because not everyone is well, because you talked about getting a degree, but not everyone is college material. So some people may not go to college, but they start a business and they're successful that way.
Yeah, I mentioned college because that's easy. You can quantify that, because there's a lot of people. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of people who they don't even finish high school. Like my grandfather, he didn't finish high school, sixth grade education. He had his own business. He poured concrete, and all his sons helped him do that. So I would say that he was moderately successful. It's not just about college, but there's so many kids now in 2023 that say I'm not college material, like kind of what you said, but then they don't do shit between 18 and 25. I mean, absolutely nothing except for stay at their mama house, eat their food, and they don't do nothing. So I'm whether it's a skill or trade or college or going to the military, but do something between 18 and 25 to contribute to the society and not mooch off your parents. I'm not limiting it to just getting an education, because that's not it. But I also think that how our kids graduate from these lower income high schools, that they need at least an associate's degree to say that, oh, I know how to form a sentence. I know how not to talk with my neck when I talk. I know how to pull my pants up. Just general training, and then have a better product of people that look like us. These four versions of Brown, and then we respect each other instead of trying to argue with each other, talk bad to each other. I'm saying I want better for the whole community, and I'm not just limited it to just education. I understand. I played football with guys, man, they couldn't read. They literally got passed along because they were good at sports. And I'm not saying that's okay. I'm not in that situation, but I just think we should aspire for more. And then even if, because like everybody wants it now, I want it right now. And I'm 18, I just graduated from high school, and I want to be like that guy who owns this trucking company. Guess what? Legally in America, you can't get a CDL till you're 21. There's no way around that. And then they talk about truck drivers make this and make that, but guess what? You can't be a truck driver if you just graduated high school at 18 for 3 years. What are you going to do? You have to do something. Find a way to be productive. And I'm not just saying go get a low income job, but find a way to be productive so that when it's your time, you learn something. You can give something back and you can help somebody else. I'm sorry, I got long-winded on that because I was like, hey, I'm not coming for education. I am a product of education because I went to HBCU, but I also know that I have uncles and aunts on both sides of my family that never went, and they're still good people, and they still contribute back, and they still are leaders. Go ahead.
You want? I just feel like in our community, we have to start at the root of the problem. So a part of our problem is, unlike other cultures, we push our kids out. We keep them as dependents. And instead of, and this is based off of me just talking to other cultures on how what they do with their children. At 18, they are not ready to go out into the world without being pushed and being taught and geared in the right direction. So for me, I'll just speak based on my son. At 18, I told him, honestly, his college tuition is paid for. So go through high school, you in ninth grade, let's go. Have fun, enjoy it. You don't have the pressures. But if you stay here, you go to Georgia State, you got a house, I can make the basement your apartment, you put that in your name, and you claim that, and you start building your life. You know what I'm saying? Not putting you as a dependent of mine, but making you independent. But you don't have to pay rent. But this is what you're saying you are doing. You building your credit. You're getting the phone. You might get a car. Have maybe these payments. You're going to college or whatever it is. But instead of us pushing our children out and claiming them as dependents, we need to make them independent, but also train them and support them in that process. Am I making sense?
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And that's just what I learned from just talking to different cultures, because we set our children up for failure when they become young adults, because we just, when they turn 18, they're going to get out my house and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. But they're still a young adult. They're technically still a dependent until 24 if they're in college. But why not use that process to help them build themselves? That's all I want to say.
Piggyback on that. For me, mine don't have to go until they're ready to go. And when you go, stay gone. So be ready to go. Like, one has already left. And she said, I'm not coming back. So for me, I don't want you to go and come back, because me, I was a young mother, but still, I went out, I came back. I went out, I must have went out and came back 4 or 5 times. And so we have to set them up to be successful. And I think with this generation, this social media has not helped, because they see everybody is doing so well when really you only see what people want you to see. And so they get this false ideology of, I can do it because they're doing it. Well, you don't know the steps it took for them to get to where they're at. But a lot of times, like you said, Blue, earlier, we want it right now. They don't want to work hard for it. I want to go right now and be a YouTube sensation. I want to go right now and be the best singer in the world. So somebody, so I think 1, it's social media. 2, like you said, we got to set them up for success and not push them out so soon. Other cultures do. They all get it, like Hispanic culture, Asian culture. They all stay in the house and they help pay the house off. And somebody's here.
Blue ain't playing. Mama! Okay, so look, Vic, I'm going to say this, and then Trisha, I want you to comment. I'm fully agreeing with you saying in the Black community, we often, like you said, they get 18, they get finished with high school, and they say, you got to go. I don't care where you go, but you got to get the hell out of here. And unfortunately, if we were a little bit more patient, then because what it was in the old times, it was them pulling them out of school to help with the household, and they didn't leave until they got married. So if they didn't get married to 20 something, then guess what? Now you don't have 1 or 2 incomes. Now you got 3 or 4, and then you have all, because they would have 8, 9 kids. My parents both came from, they were each one of 10. I had a couple uncles that stopped going to school in 6th, 7th grade, and they went to work. And this is in my lifetime. So instead of that, now, no, I'm gonna help you finish high school, but then you got to go. But why wouldn't you say, hey, finish high school? If college is not for you, let me send you to the nearest community college trade school, and then, okay, get your trade. I got you. Then once you get your trade, all right, now let's talk about it. You make blah 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 per hour. All right, now you have to contribute basically 25% of the rent. I'm gonna force you to save 25% of your income, and then you still have to follow my rules. You can't go out drinking, smoking, blah blah blah. Kids don't want to hear that, but guess what? You don't have shit else to do at 18 and 20, 21 and 22. And if you're not in a relationship, if you're in a relationship and you have children, okay, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones that don't have kids, the ones that are still at home and are not being productive. Why would you purposely want to go live in a one-bedroom efficiency and have $25 left over after you pay all your bills, and you struggling to eat on a regular basis, lights barely on, just to get out your mom and dad's house? That don't make any sense to me. Cassie, you got to go.
I gotta go. My nephew's here, and today's his birthday, and he brought over the dog, so it's not gonna be quiet and it's gonna be noisy. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me on the platform, and I look forward to many more discussions. Have a blessed night, y'all.
All right. I mean, because I hate so many black parents want to put their kids out as soon as they can. And like, and I'm totally different. My son is not with me, but he's 22. But so me and his mother couldn't agree on the instruction for him, so she stayed with him. He picked her versus coming with me. But if he was with me, he would still be in my house doing what I say. Because if you're not married, you don't have no kids, what is the benefit of you going at 21, 22? Your insurance still haven't dropped if you own a car. Everything. If you're not making $30,000 a year, then it's hard for you to live. I remember when I was a kid, I finished college. I went out on my own. My parents were like, "Hey, good luck." And then because my dad was there, he was like, "You got to figure it out. You got to live with inside whatever you're making. If you don't make enough, then you need to go make some more money." So with that, knowing that my parents were fine, I always got a part-time job. I always got a little extra to work. Because yes, I still had to take care of my son. I only had one kid, but I wasn't married. And five years later, after beginning to hustle, after working overtime, then I was like, okay, I got a couple $1,000. I ain't have much money, but I had a couple $1,000. Bills were being paid on time. Everything was good. Then I was pursuing a serious relationship. But before then, I was like, I'm not good enough to marry somebody, and I wasn't taught to be a moocher because all my uncles, all my dad's brothers, and most of my mom's brothers, they were married. So I didn't see the gigolo lifestyle that you should do or go from woman to woman. I didn't see that. I said you find a woman, she treats you well, you get married. That's all I saw. And from when I was in Mississippi, that's what I saw. Trish, what are your thoughts on kids being pushed out the house too soon?
I think y'all raised some really valid points because for me, so my mom died when I was 10 and I was raised by my dad. Less than a year later, he married a woman that it was rumored around the church that he was cheating on my mom with. So she treated me horribly. I do not know why this woman didn't like me. She just didn't. So as soon as I turned 18, I had to go. My oldest daughter will be 18 in December. And I joke with her all the time, like, you about to be 18, you can leave whenever you want to. She was like, why would I want to? And to me, that was huge because I always say, I want to raise kids who don't need therapy to recover from what I've done to them. So we talk all the time about what they want to do, who they want to be. College isn't for everybody, and I get it. My daughter sees me do college homework for other people to get paid for it. And she'd be like, you ain't never offered to do my homework and I'm in high school. I'm like, because it's a totally different thing. And we joke about that, but she was telling me all these different things she wanted to be. She said, but I kind of don't want to rush right into college, but I don't want to just be working either. Right now, she's not working and she's good. Like, I have really good kids. So if they ask for it, if I can get it, they got it. So even still, like just a few hours ago, she was like, Ma, I know y'all take really good care of me, but I still feel like I should be working to have my own money. And I'm like, okay, well, I want you to know that's an option. It's not a requirement. So she turns 18 and we had a conversation a few months ago. I'm like, I know you turned 18 in the middle of the school year, but you do understand you're still going to have rules at the house. Like, you can hang out with your friends. I'm still going to give you a curfew. I'm still going to treat you like you're my daughter. I just won't treat you like a child. I will try to give you the space. So even now, when she needs like medication refills and stuff, she'll be like, Mom, can you call this in? I'm like, no, you do it. I'll sit here with you, but I need to prepare you like I was not prepared for. So I don't know. I think as Black people, it's really hard to grasp how your child goes from having to ask to use the bathroom in school one day to now tomorrow you want them to just get out there and figure it out. Like, that reflects poorly on you as a parent, in my opinion. So I wish we would stop doing that. If they stay at home, as long as they're being respectful, they're trying to figure out life, help them. Because otherwise, that makes you an unsuccessful parent because you failed your child. But that's just how I feel about it.
No, it's fine. I don't
Yeah.
limit people's experiences. I just like I said, I know, to be honest, saying that I said two things a day, two different lives that people really didn't agree with. One, I think that women should not be able to mourn a bad relationship and take forever to recover. They didn't like that. And then this last thing I said, I get it. There should be a standard for success. I understand it. What I'm saying, I know it's not normal, but having a 0 point or a starting point for everybody, I think is fair. It's not normal. It's not easy either, because then somebody's gonna say, I'm successful, and then you like, no, it says it right here. No, you're not. So I get that. Vic, I saw you in the comments earlier, and we were talking about. I'm gonna jump back to the topic before I get out of here. We were talking about women turning on their femininity. Me and you have had many conversations about you and your femininity.
Mm-hmm.
As a person who is a female and is sometimes received not feminine based on not your physical presence, but the words that you say
Mm-hmm.
and the actions that you take. So I don't want you saying, "Oh, Blue, what you trying to say about me?" I want to be clear.
No, come on now.
I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking through you to the other people that don't know our conversation.
Okay. Yeah.
So, listening to that question, how do you feel about it? Are females in leadership roles and educated like you? Are you able to turn it on and off as you see fit?
I think so.
Explain.
In my opinion, I always say that the right man can make you submit or make you feel like you just want to be that soft person. I just feel like different people bring out a different person in you. So that's in any role. If you're talking about relationships or you're talking about at work, I go to work. I had an issue today that, and you'll be so proud of me because I've been working on my femininity and stuff, and I know you see the growth. And oh, you don't see the growth. You want to laugh?
What I was laughing at is the fact that you said you see the growth.
I know you, but the HR ladies at my job, they came on to, like, one of my new hires. She is real soft-spoken, sweet girl, ready to work, overachiever. But they were literally three of them waiting at the elevator for her with their hands on their hips and just talking to her so disrespectful. And I'm just like, wait a minute. You
Wait a
have to
minute.
pipe down a little bit. You're not our directors, you're not our managers, district managers, anybody of importance, you're HR. And I'm trying to let them know, like, calm down. You don't have to talk to her like this. You don't have to be disrespectful. It's the way you talk to her. Because she was about ready to quit. And I'm just like, I need her. But it was just for me to see the aggression. They called her on Teams. I hear the conversation. I'm like, who is that, HR? I'm like, hearing how they speak, and I can't even believe it. So I had to, like, get in my head and say, when you talk to these people, you got to kind of be cool. But what I was really feeling was, I'm ready to go off, but I've been working on myself. But it just comes with growth, and it also, like I said, different people bring out a different person in you. So a man like you could definitely bring out the feminine in a woman because you know how to be respectful, you know how to be assertive, and you can demand the respect that you want based on how you treat a person. But a different type of man can bring out that rah-rah because he too don't know how to be respectful and speak to a woman the way he should. So it's gonna pull that monster out that woman, right?
That you coughing? That's your baby.
You know she right under me, right under me.
Your-
She begged me, "Can I just be quiet?" I said, "We're not talking about anything bad tonight, so you can sit there."
That's the real boss right there.
I know.
That's the, all right,
But
ladies.
I made my son walk to school the other day while we talking about like the whole because he missed the bus several times and school started August 1st. And I said, you know what? You keep missing this bus thinking I'm gonna drop you to school. He learned the hard way. And my brother called him an Uber the first time I made him walk to school. But then the next day he missed the bus and then he had to walk. And he said, Mama, I never missed the bus again. And he has not since.
I bet you got to walk to school, whether it's 15. If you're not used to walking to school, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour, man, you're going to get your mind right.
Oh, it's about an hour because it's a 10-minute drive.
All right. Ladies, I'm going to get out of here. Do y'all have any final thoughts for the night?
I don't. I like this conversation. I think it's very, very informative. I learned a lot tonight just listening.
Trish?
No, thank you for having me.
I got to make sure you cam up next time because you with the camera down, you
I'm
you
a
just
little more quiet when I'm in the background.
way more quiet. I don't
I
like
want to see your face, Gary. Pretty on this picture.
Thank you. I look like that in real life too.
I see.
Thank you.
I believe.
That's all right. Hey,
I look like this all the time, child. I don't care.
Still look good, girl.
Okay. I get cute when I want to. I just don't get cute for this show. I'm sorry, Blue.
it's okay. I don't care. I think I have a show tomorrow night with Over 40 Podcasts. We're doing a dating show, so anybody who's looking to get hitched, and I'll be there at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock Central, 10 Eastern, and then of course I might pop up on a live. It's like the weekend. That's right.
Oh, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, I'll be somewhere Saturday, Sunday. I might be somewhere random. Somebody
So
else's
you're
live.
not coming to Atlanta.
No, I'm not coming to it. Yeah. So of course Monday be back to regular scheduled program. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are my normal shows. I'm normally somewhere else. I got to figure out. I'm supposed to do another show on Thursday, but I can't do it. It's just too much. So anyway, I'll figure that out. Appreciate y'all. Peace
All
and
right. Good night, y'all.